As the city of Christchurch recovers and rebuilds after the earthquakes of 2010 and 2011, what is the future of the eastern flatland suburbs? Welcome to Eyes East, our series about the recovery of East Christchurch. The earthquakes of 2010 and 2011 had enormous impacts on the eastern suburbs of Christchurch, particularly those along the Avon River. There was severe land damage with liquefaction subsidence and lateral spread, which in turn resulted in great damage to housing, to underground and roading infrastructure, to businesses and to the environment and the amenities. As a result, in June 2011, the government red zoned 450 hectares of land along the lower Avon and offered almost 6,000 households who lived there buyout options, because it was decided that at that point in time, the land could not be economically remediated and rebuilt on. In the 4 years since the red zoning decisions, most residents have now left their homes, the houses have been demolished and the ground cleared, leaving a large swathe of empty land running through the east, the size of around 2.5 Hagley Parks. Here is the story of two families who went through this process. One family from Avondale, Brian and Yasway Parker, and the other from Avonside, Leanne Curtis and Andrew Button. Brian and Leanne are leading members of the Canterbury Community's Earthquake Recovery Network, or CanCERN.
We're at the old property where myself and my family used to live, right on the Avon River.
Where we used to live in Avonside, our old home was right behind us. Still feels like home. Our land sunk 1.4 metres. We're really prone to liquefaction in this area too. We had 600 mils of liquefaction over our section 3 times.
All the power was off, wasn't any water, and because we're right beside the river here, we had a lot of lateral spreads, and as a result of liquefaction we had a lot of silt and sand bubble up out of the ground. Yeah, I thought the river had burst actually when we were here at that time, and just chaos.
I was quite tough situation because after 3 weeks later, Japan had an earthquake. I'm Japanese, so kind of think about then, and also I'm affected by earthquakes.
For the most part, I'd have to say in Avonside, people all, poured out of the driveways and helped each other.
We had been a community which lived in the same street but didn't really communicate or socialise together or anything like that, or look after each other as we did afterwards.
The earthquakes itself really brought the community together, to tell you the truth, the earthquakes. So people were helping each other, people were learning who their neighbours were and the extended neighbours were, and friends and family of those neighbours who they've really never sort of known before apart from hellos in the street.
Village values was the thing that came out. We wanted to move and create villages because we wanted that sense of connection that we had after the quake. But in terms of how people responded to you've been red zoned, there's an offer, you're basically going to leave. That was a really individual thing, not even family by family, individual by individual. So I don't think we did it as a community. We did it as individual people, even within families.
It was a bizarre feeling. It was quite lost, like really wanting to know what next, but also trying to keep family safe as well, because it's been such a dangerous, hideous time.
We had really different needs.
Yeah, everybody.
I needed to stay.
Yep.
Andrew needed to go.
Yep.
So we really divided communities, and so it was a pretty divisive decision.
And we talk about transition. We moved 30k away. We're probably going to move back. We have not been able to move our life. So I don't think we transitioned.
It's bloody traumatic actually to think about all of that stuff and all the things that you had and the community and the neighbours and all of that sort of thing.
I didn't have a time to feel sad. Things we have to do many things. We have to find a house, and we have to find a good place, good school for my daughter, and moving, packing. It's all we had to do. Things, hiding emotion, this kind of thing.
My way of coping with this decision is to ignore it, really, to try and stick it in the back of my head and not actually really process it.
I think lots of red zoners have got their red zone experience in Pandora's box somewhere, because you don't know how to unpack it, you don't know when to unpack it, you don't actually know what to think about it.
It's weird picturing all the houses that used to be here, but real weird not seeing our house here anymore.
When you finally sort of sign the papers and you finally get everything done where you know that you have to leave and you finally do actually leave, for me, I wanted that house to disappear straight away. It doesn't look like it used to, so it makes it easier, to tell you the truth.
Much nicer that it's clear. I think you can start to see it as a future space as opposed to a space that was been a bit of a wrecking ball.
A bloody mess the way that they have removed their houses, because we could have done so much more with the houses.
I personally don't have a picture of what it needs to look like, as long as it's a place which helps people's recovery. So it needs to have something that recognises the people that live here.
Do you think the land should be remediated and more houses built here?
No, not me. This is an asset to the Crown. It's actually a whole part of our social recovery for the people that live there. So my gut feeling is no.
I would love to live back here again. If they remediated the land and they put, I would love to have first right of refusal on this bit of dirt, which I had to sell to the government.
No, I guess is it's a pretty strong response. But then there is the responsibility. There's a lot of money that's been spent here, but also other issues. I mean, we've still got flooding problems, which means protecting the families which are still here in this area. We've got half of Avonside has disappeared, and we've got half that are still here.
Sports grounds?
Rugby grounds.
I want to make this paradise again here, like for example, veggie garden and a big community house with kitchen. It's showing hospitality, generosity, and supporting community by sharing food. Why not?
What I'd like to see here is the result of really good community discussion, as opposed to people making decisions in silent rooms in the backwaters of nowhere, which may be good intentions, but in the end it's just too hard for the communities to understand.
This is still home. There's no house on it. It was a terribly traumatic place to be in the earthquake, but for whatever reason, don't understand it, it is still home. We sold the land, you didn't sell your home.
Families obviously still have a tremendous attachment to the lands that they had to leave behind. It is not just another part of the Crown Estate, but a part of our community's history and backyard. This is no more so than if your family has been left behind, literally living on the edge of the red zone. Coming up, what has life been like for one such family? And then a look at the government's intentions on the future use of the red zone lands.